Cool. So thanks so much for being here. These are folks that I officiated a wedding for this summer, and maybe we could just start with y'all introducing yourselves. Maybe who you are, where you live, what you do. Yeah.
Right. I go first. I'm Rachel Luke. I live in Burien, just south of the Seattle area. I just finished a master's in counseling psychology, so I just started working as clinical counselor, and yeah, really enjoying that and adjusting to some life changes as that goes with new jobs.
Yeah, I'm Genevra Levinson, and I also live in Burien. I'm I'm a therapist in private practice, and also a writer and game master as co-vocation, if you will.
Awesome. Great combinations. Yeah. So y'all reached out to me as you were planning your wedding this summer, and I'd love to hear, like, as you were planning your wedding or as you were starting to imagine that, like, what it might not necessarily have been a problem, but like, what were you coming up against, or what were you facing? What were you wanting out of that process that prompted you to reach out to me?
Mhm.
I'll go for
Great.
it. um, I think like one problem or struggle that we encountered was as queer folks and as folks who identify as probably post-Christian, um, we're really needing to redefine what a wedding could look like
Mm,
and really needing to find someone who could help us think a little out of the box of what a ceremony or a ritual would look like that we wanted. And I had a friend of mine had actually recommended you as someone to reach out to for just general cool spiritual weirdness.
I love that. Yes.
And so we saw that you were doing weddings, like, wait a second, this actually could be really cool for a wedding. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we had like kind of a feel of what we wanted as we were kind of imagining. We had like kind of a direction, but felt really at a loss to know how to bring that together for ourselves and then how to find somebody who could officiate it. It just felt like we had these like little ideas, but no place to kind of house them or to like grow them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you were imagining, like, what did it mean, or what would it mean for you to bring all those pieces together, or to, like, you have kind of a solution to those struggles? What before you knew what was possible, like, what were you imagining or hoping you would feel like when it came to your wedding? Like, what did you want?
Mm.
Yeah, I wanted like a ritual that was meaningful to things we cared about, something that like shared with our community um, practices or intentions that matter to us, and yeah, something that felt ceremonious but didn't feel um, like all the other things I had experienced at weddings in the
Mm,
past.
mhm,
Something that fit us to like really mark the occasion,
mhm.
and I wanted it to be like beautiful too.
Mhm. Yeah, there was a lot of traditional American weddings. There's probably like 98% of the format and symbols that we just really didn't connect with at all. And so we really wanted to be able to create something that had symbolism and meaning to us.
Mhm. Yeah, that's cool. So, what did you experience then? Like, how was the experience working with me? And if you can think of even, well, maybe we can start broad. Like, how was it?
So helpful. There are so many details in planning a ceremony that it felt so good to have someone to help us think through all the things we needed to think through and give us deadlines of when we needed to do those things, because that just felt like so much. There's so much else we were doing to plan the rest of the wedding, to not have to be the ones like creating the documents of these are the things you need to check in on was such like a load off. And it was really great to bring our own thoughts and ideas, and for those to be able to mesh really well with the things that you brought as well, because there was a lot that like you brought that we hadn't thought of, might not have found without your help. A lot of like creative. It was just such a collaboration. Like it was really cool to bring like us and like you and your experience and creativity and really create something that like was really what we wanted.
Yeah, I love that part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, logistically, I was lost in the ocean with no sight of land ever. So I think the structure that was provided was incredibly helpful. To have any kind of a framework, even an outline of here's how a ceremony can go as a starting point, and then to tweak from there. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't think I could not have gotten there. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when it came to your actual wedding day, how did it feel? How did it feel to be there, or what did you experience on the day?
Good. I'm just trying to figure out how to describe it.
Yeah.
And certainly
I think I felt, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's a lot of other factors on that actual day than just what Absolutely. I'm doing, but yeah, anything about the experience that you want to share?
Yeah. I was like, I feel really good about who I am, like us as a couple. Like I just felt very proud of us. And I felt like, in spite of all the difficult things that come with a wedding, be it difficult family dynamics, weird logistics, like it felt like, I felt full ownership over what we created. I was like, this feels like us.
Totally.
I felt as present to it as you can be. And then even parts of it are a total blur, but there are like a few moments even from the ceremony that are kind of like snapshots burned into my mind.
Like which ones?
Yeah, probably I think like one of them honestly is the smoke cleansing. I was like, that felt like one of those sort of still moments in time that felt really sacred and profound and beautiful. And then, I mean, there's so many, like I got to wield a sword, which was amazing.
I keep telling people about that part.
Oh, it was amazing. So fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All the parts. Definitely the smoke cleansing as well is one that really like, I think the pausing of it felt so like helpful in a day that has so much that has to happen, and we had to carry so much in our brains to like pause. Yeah, and I really loved calling in the 4 directions and like watching you like draw the circle with the sword. Yeah, and the hand fasting too, like having created the cord that we used, and like the intention in that, and yeah, all of the like meaning that came along with that part, and yeah, I really loved that as well.
The train.
The train.
I was gonna say the train.
Yeah.
The train was my favorite part. Like we didn't know what was gonna happen right there, and then
I know
a classic Seattle school soundtrack of the train going by.
Yeah, it was such perfect timing. yeah, we had gone back and forth so much about that ending and how we were going to end the ceremony because we didn't do the traditional like kissing at the end. And um, then it was like the universe was just like, we see what you want, so we're gonna make it happen. And so like we all broke out and cheers just as this train went by. It was like so perfect. Like it
Yeah.
could not have been more perfect. So
Mm.
yeah, it was the
Yeah,
most like celebratory I could have imagined. So
totally. I love
yeah.
that part. Yeah. Um, Great. Thanks for all of those. Yeah, I think you put words to it really well, Genevra. Just like it really felt like an expression of you both, and kind of us in collaboration together. And just like I love that you're saying you felt proud uh, of yourselves and like you'd created something together, and that's totally what I would want for someone on their wedding day, like this is something to represent you and something to welcome your family and community into witnessing you as you are authentically. And yeah, I was really glad to be a part of that. So the last little series of questions are about like, was there anything that would have been a barrier to saying yes to working with me, or anything you kind of had to work out in your mind or overcome?
Well, I think for us with everything with our wedding, like finances were just like tight.
Mhm.
So we like really talked about it and we're really thankful for the like sliding scale opportunity. But also like after we talked about it, like it was so worth it to spend so much of our like our wedding budget on this part because like the wedding is like the
Mhm.
the ritual is really what we like cared so much about, and so like it was worth it, but we did have to kind of talk over it, and I think that the like sliding scale option really helped us know like we could look at like what your um I don't know your rates would be, and we could look and see like we can do this and we feel really good about this.
Mhm.
So it ended up not being a barrier, but it was like a thing that we had to like really think about, which is like
Yeah.
just unique to our own situation. Yeah, and then I think it was like a little bit like, oh, we don't really know Kate, so that what'll this be like? But like after the
Mhm.
first time we met, like it felt like, oh, this is like not scary.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Mhm.
the only thing that I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I do know that finances are totally a part of what folks need to weigh, in all of life. And um that uh you know, a person could just like have their friend officiate, or people do, more casual things. And so I do feel so honored to be have been invited into this and like paid for it, and even knowing like that it was a significant portion of your budget, that means a lot to me. So thank you. And yeah, and I'm so glad it felt worth it to you. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, so is there who would you recommend this kind of work, or working with me, this kind of service to, and why?
Yeah. Anybody who wants to like create a wedding that is like more their own and maybe outside of some of the same structures. I think you could probably still do a wedding that way, but it feels like a little more your wheelhouse for it to be like more of a creative process.
Yeah.
And I think especially when I think about that, I think as a queer person, like other queer people who might want to create that.
Yeah.
And yeah, people who enjoy like creating rituals that have meaning, like specific meaning to themselves.
Hmm.
People who feel lost of like how do we go about this? So
Hmm.
it's such a help to have like you guiding us through that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, they're like very, like folks who are really wanting a lot of thoughtful, intentional symbolism and, um, yeah, for there to be I don't know, there's like an earthiness about it, and um, I'm trying to even put words to there being like the ceremony being inherently spiritual, but not necessarily focused on any one tradition. But there's like something like a sacred ceremonial kind of a feeling. Um, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Is there anything else you would say to someone looking for something like this, or anything else you want to reflect about your experience working with me?
Yeah, I would say it's like totally worth it. And it can be like really hard to find someone who wants to create something the way that like you're wanting to create things. And so like, yeah, if you like think you want to do it and you can like make it work, like do that. Because I can't imagine like what our wedding would have been without you having been a part of it and helped us craft it, and like held us that day too, like in the space. So.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah.
Like, buy your wedding cake at Safeway. It tastes the same. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, priorities.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna remember the ceremony way longer than I'm gonna remember the cake we ate. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except they wouldn't give it to Jessie because it was a unicorn.
Yeah.
They didn't believe her that it was a wedding cake.
Yeah, they wouldn't give it to our friends because it was a unicorn cake. And like, this is not for a wedding, and she's like, I'm pretty sure it is actually. So maybe I will remember the cake.
Yeah.
For different
Good job.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you so much. It was such a joy to collaborate with you both and to be there that day. And yeah, and thank you for your time today, just reflecting on that time. And I'll just say, this is for our future watchers. So if you want to learn how I might be of service in preparation and celebration for your major life milestone, you can set up a ceremony consult call with me, which is how we started together. And I can hear a little bit more about what you're wanting, and we can explore in more detail how we can collaborate to make your ritual ceremony dream come true. So that's great. Thank you so much. That's I really appreciate your words, and yeah, it was such a delight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much.